Fourth grade lesson 3.2 is estimating products. What strategies can you use to estimate products? You're going to see that this chapter is going to kind of take the same path as the previous chapter in building our way up to using a standard algorithm for multiplying numbers, but this time it's multiplying 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. It's important to know all the foundational pieces to help you understand why we're doing the manipulations we're doing in the standard algorithm. So stay with me on this. Let's go ahead and go through this chapter one step at a time. And again, our essential question is, what strategies can you use to estimate products? So we've been estimating products before. The difference on this lesson was that our estimation of products deals with two-digit numbers. The Smith family opens the door of their refrigerator 32 times in one day. There are 31 days in May. About how many times is it opened in May? We will underline the question. About how many times is it opened in May? We will circle the information they gave us. In one day, they open it 32 times. I'll use a different color so we can see it over here. In one day, 32 times for one day. And then there are 31 days in May. All right. So by now you're probably starting to see what will be happening here. You've got one day, 32, another day, 32, another day, 32 openings, another day, 32 openings, and on 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 until the 31 days pass. And I know a few of you have been doing the repeated addition, but at this stage, doing that 31 times seems not very appealing, doesn't it? So, shortcut for repeated addition, you know by now, is multiplication. And that's where they have for us doing here. We're going to multiply 32 times 31, 32 times 31. And again, in this lesson, they just want the estimate. So we get to round those numbers to their greatest value and then do the calculation. So we'll round each factor. The factor are the numbers that are being multiplied. That's what factor means. We would round 32 to 30. We would round 31 to 30. And remember, our basic fact, 3 times 3 is 9. This was the 3 times the 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Oh, we need a better color than that. And then we have the 2 zeros here that we would just put together into the answer, making the answer 900. Very, very similar to when we were multiplying in the previous lesson with our estimates, just tacking those zeros onto the end. That's a nice little trick to be able to do when we're multiplying with numbers that are ending in zeros. On average, a refrigerator door is open 38 times each day. About how many fewer times in May is the Smith family's refrigerator door opened than the average refrigerator door? Okay, so we're given a little more information about, on average, people's homes. How many fewer times in May does the Smith family open their refrigerator door? Because most families open them 38 times each day. And remember, the Smith family only opened it 32 times a day. So we have it looking like this, 38 every day, and on and on and on and on and on until the end of May, which has 31 days. So we would be multiplying 38 times 31 days. And again, this lesson is just all about estimation, so we're just getting kind of what would the answer be-ish, right? So we would round this number. This 3 is the greatest value. You look at the 8, that's an up number. It's closer to 40 than it is 30. So we're going to round that up to 40. And just like we did here when we rounded that to 30, this is closer to 30 than 40. 31 is in between 30 and 40. It's closer to 30 than it is 40. So we're going to put 30 there. We'll use that trick with a basic fact, 4 times 3, which is 12. And we have 1, 2 zeros on the end, 1, 2. And their question was about how many fewer times. when we're asking how many fewer or how many more or what's the difference between numbers, what calculation is that? You're right, it is subtraction. So we'll take the larger value of 1200, and from it we will subtract the Smith family's estimate of 900, and we get 300. So on average, the Smith family opens their door about 300 times fewer in the month of May than the average family. And here they just show us another way that we can manipulate these numbers to do quick calculations in our head. That's the whole point of this lesson, is how can I get these numbers, what's close to these numbers, to do a very quick calculation in my head so I can get an answer that's very close to what the real product would be. I don't need it to be exact, but how can I get it close? So let's have a look at this example. All 24 light bulbs in the Park family's home are CFL light bulbs. Each CFL light bulb uses 28 watts to produce light. About how many watts will the light bulb use when turned on all at the same time? We can use mental math and compatible numbers. That just means numbers that we know will work together well. Compatible numbers are numbers that are easy to compute mentally. We're going to take, well, they give us the calculation, but I really would like your brain understanding why it's multiplication. We know that there are 24 light bulbs, and each one uses 28 watts. So how much altogether? So if one light bulb, we'll do the picture, one light bulb uses 28 watts, and another one uses 28 watts, and so on, 24 times, that would be repeated addition. And in place of repeated addition, we use multiplication. All right, so we would be doing 24 times 28. Now, we could round them the way we were rounding them before, but the compatible numbers way is just saying, hey, if there's a closer number that you know how to multiply pretty well, then go ahead and round it to that. Here's what we mean by that. In one of those lessons previously, they were dealing with the number 25, and I kept telling you guys, you know how to calculate with 25 pretty easily because you know money. If you have a quarter, 25 cents, if you have one quarter, you know it's 25 cents. And you all know also, because you use these all the time, if you have 2 quarters, you have 50 cents. And if you have 3 quarters, you have 75 cents. And if you have 4 quarters, you have $1, which is the same as 100 cents. So if you know that skill in your brain already, pretty solid, because you're using money all the time. If you go to the store and they say 50 cents, you know you're digging through your bag for 2 quarters, right? You know this calculation just from working with money alone. So why don't we, since 24 is super close to 25, and we know we can calculate with 25 fairly easy, let's round that to 25. So that's what they did here. And then 28 is between 20 and 30, but it's closer to 30, so we'll round that to 30. And then we're going to do 25 times 3, which you know is 75 cents, right? 3 quarters is 75 cents. And then we tack that 0 onto the end. So 25 times 3, 75. So 25 times 30 is going to be 750. So that's just offering you another option to use for your mental math as well, if that's something that works in your brain. If it didn't, then you could just go back to the previous way, round that would round to 20, this would round to 30, you would have 20 times 30, and 2 times 3 is 6, with 2 zeros on the end, 600, which, again, these are estimates, these aren't the exact product, but they'll be close to what the answer is. And here they have us practice it both ways, round to the nearest 10 as one option, or round using compatible numbers. So we'll get to practice both of these. If we round to the nearest 10, the 10's place is here and here. We're rounding these numbers to their greatest value. This number, 26, is between 20 and 30, and this next number, 6, makes it closer to 30 than it is to 20. So we're going to round that to 30. This number, 79, is between 70 and 80, and that number 9 next door is that up number. It's closer to the pushing it up to 80 than it is to 70. So we're going to call that 80. Probably rounding numbers is much easier for you now than it was at the beginning of the year, hopefully. Now we're going to do the multiplication of the basic fact here, 3 times 8. And if you've got your math facts memorized on your 3s, you know that that is 24. If not, use the grid. 0, 0. Those are 2 zeros there. So 26 times 79 is about 2,400-ish, right? We rounded. We don't have an exact value. All right, what about using compatible numbers with the same thing? How can you use 25 times 4 equals 100 to help find 25 times 8? So here, 26 is really close to 25. And remember, we deal with quarters all the time, so we know we can do that calculation. So let's round that to 25. It's a little bit closer than this one rounding to 30. So we might get a little more accurate of an answer. We'll round this to 80 also. We know that 4 quarters is 100, is $1, right? This is 8 quarters. So if 4 quarters is $1, 8 quarters is $2, right? Or 200 cents. So we're going to put 200. But we also have that 1 0 there. That needs to go on there. It's 2,000. So 26 times 79 is about 2,000. Remember, these are both estimates. They're not exact, but they give us an idea of what the actual answer will be. And I'll get you the actual answer. I'm going to do the calculation in the algorithm that you will be led to do by the end of the chapter. It's going to look like this. 9 times 6 is 54, carry over like we did in the previous lesson. And 9 times 2 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. But I'm not done yet. So that was only doing the value of the 9s. Now I'm going to do the value of the 70. And because this is 70, I have got to do that 0 down here. Now I just do the 7 times 6, which is 42, carryover. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 4, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then I add all of that together. Now, if your brain just went and exploded because you're like, what are you doing? Please don't worry. We haven't gotten to this calculation yet. We haven't gotten to this point, but this chapter's leading up to it. So that was my way of kind of giving you a preview of where it's going. So please follow the steps in all of these lessons so that when you get to this point, you're like, oh, I see what's going on here. Okay. So the actual product is 2,054, which happened to fall right in between our two estimates. It is right-ish in there, right in the middle there. Okay, let's look at share and show number 1. To estimate, meaning we get to round, the product of 62 and 28 by rounding, how would you round the factors and what would your estimated product be? We have 62 and we have 28. I'm going to write this here for my brain to see just the numbers without all the words surrounding it. My brain likes to just see what I need to do. Well, 62 is pretty close to 60. It's between 60 and 70, and it's pretty close to 60. So I think I'm just going to round that to the tens place. And then 28 is just 2 away from 30. So 28 is between 20 and 30, and it's closer to 30, pretty close to 30, right? So I'm going to just round to the tens place also for this one, because both of them are pretty close either way. Now I will do the 6 times 3. And if you know if you have your 3s memorized, you know that 6 times 3 is 18. And you have 2 zeros on the end. My estimated product would be 1,800. So that's my answer to that. I rounded using rounding to the tens place. Okay, and now it's your time to pause me and make me wait. Go ahead and try it. Try number 2 and then play it when you either get stuck or when you get an answer to check it. All right, hopefully you've tried it. Let's see how you did. I would take this 96. 96 is between 90 and 100. So, and then that 6 is an up number. So I'm going to round that up to 100. And 34 is between 30 and 40. So I'm going to round that to 30. because 4 is a stay number, so I'm going to round that to 30. Then I will multiply 1 times 3, which is 3. And I have 1, 2, 3 zeros there, so I will put that on the answer, 1, 2, 3. Now, you might have said, I'm going to round that to 100, and you know what? Because this is a 1, and that's going to be an easy calculation, I'm going to round this 34 to 35. Because that's even closer. Because I can easily do 35 times 1 is 35, with 2 zeros on the end, 3,500. Remember, estimates are just giving you an idea of what the answer, what the product will be close to. So either of these could have been correct answers. Let's look at the next one. We have 47 times 39. How are you going to round it, and what is the estimated product you're going to get? Go ahead and try it. All right, for this one, 47 is between 40 and 50, but this 7 is an up number, so I'm going to round that up to 50. 39 is between 30 and 40, and this 9 is an up number, making this very close to 40, so I'm going to round that up to 40. Now I will look at my basic fact of 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. And then I will look at my zeros. There are 2 zeros there. So my answer is, I should make those the same color. My estimated answer is 2,000. So whatever the answer to 47, whatever the product of 47 times 39 is, it should be fairly close to 2,000 to be a reasonable answer. And finally, let's try one more. Go ahead and try this one. Let's see how you do. I'm looking at 78. That number will fall between 70 and 80, but this 8 means that it's closer to 80 than it is to 70. It's an up number, so I'm going to round that up to 80. And then I'm looking at 72. Again, that's between 70 and 80, but this 2 is a stay number. That means it's pretty close to 70. It's closer to 70 than it is to 80, so I'm going to round that to 70. Tough one because you might not have your 8s or 7s memorized yet. You might need to use your grid. But anyways, let's do 8 times 7 for the basic fact. And 8 times 7 is 56. And then I have 1, 2 zeros. So those 1, 2 zeros go on the end of that answer, meaning that the product of 78 times 72 is going to be somewhat close to 5,600. Sort of close. Okay? That's all this lesson is about. If you understand it well, go ahead and go on to Think Central. If not, we'll work on it extra in class.